Step 2. Second chance. Second chance. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, Hark. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house, just as she did. Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward, and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so you were still little in her eyes despite being big for your own age. You let her do it. You happily let her do it. You tilted your body back aside to dodge. You pushed your hand back and laughed. You pushed your hand back and groaned. I said, I don't know if I would happily let her do it. I said, yeah, you let her do it. You stood by patiently and indulged in your ma's wishes. She gave you 2 small taps on the crown of your head. Ah, you're the last one down today. You know that? My life isn't a race. Morning. I was going to say longer, so you're welcome. Sorry about the wait. What did I get? Morning. That's all? You really are a sleepyhead right now. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. Wow, he looks so sad. But his fruit bouquet looks really sweet. I'm at least going to be nice to him about that. He leaned uncomfortably to the side of your doorway as his bushy hair covered part of his face. His features were pinched in embarrassment and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to express a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. I like fruit, and I think fruit baskets are really cool, like fruit bouquets. I would love that. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived there, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. Poor thing. Cove audibly sighed. There was no way to tell if he was just relieved that you could leave soon, or if he wasn't happy to see you. Either was equally possible. The two of you have never clicked like your families wanted. Not even close. Hey. Hi. Nice to see you again. Yeah. And that was all he said. Well, you suppose it could be considered comforting that some things don't ever change. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with Cove's undesired presence filling the days. I do feel really sad that that's really all our relationship is like right now. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. And with that, the gift was accepted. I'm surprised I didn't get any dialogue choices to at least say thank you. This is for your family. Dad got it as a present for you all. I just had to bring it. He's busy. You raise an eyebrow at the explanation. Mr. Holden being busy is probably not the only reason he wanted Cove to be the one to drop it off, but you didn't comment. Thanks to your dad for buying it and to you for bringing it over. It looks yummy. I'll tell him you said that. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics, and you'd since made up your mind on what your opinion was. He was nice. He was sort of funny. He was pretty weird. You didn't like him. He was great. Kinda handsome to boot. We're talking about Mr. Holden, right? I'm so curious. How awful would it be if I was crushing on Cove's dad? I'm so gonna do it. He was great and kind of handsome to boot. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. I mean, even if he was Cove's dad, you couldn't pretend like he wasn't a nice-looking guy. That was good too, but it was something you kept to yourself. Good. Don't say that to Cove. That would be really awkward. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are! You shared a confused look with Cove as both of you stepped through the open door into the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. There he is! It's the star of this DLC! You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. You were happy at the sight of him. You were confused at the sight of him. You were displeased at the sight of him. You are happy. I am crushing on him. Of course I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be? It almost feels like if you're crushing on Derek, why even put that put that choice up there just to be contradictory. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping, he's so cute! He's so adorable! After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin. Oh, he's so cute. Hey, my guys. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. I'm glad you didn't go too far. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. What's that? I'd like to believe that since I didn't become good friends with Cove, I'd like to believe that Derek, knowing his personality, Derek would have ended up being Cove's, essentially best friend. I'd like to believe that. To me, that would make me very happy. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit. Nice. Can I have some? I love how excited he is. Sure, we can share. I haven't even tried it yet. It's a gift from my family. I can't give it to you. Maybe you can have some later. Sure, we can share. Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Awesome. I love how Cove is totally indifferent. He's got the whatever look on his face. Then he nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyways, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh, the new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him? Nope, I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked, slowly looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove. When you first got here, anyway. Oh, yeah, I guess that was me back then. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him. Yeah, he's a piece of work. I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched-up expression, he came off angry. You were curious about him and what he was so mad about. Derek must have felt the same as you. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy, Hey, guy, over here. Oh, it's this piece of work, Jeremy. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper on his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong, hostile energy still radiated from him. What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it? No. Bye, Felicia. Your name's not Jeremy, it's Felicia. No, I'm Derek. That's Hark and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids at our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. It's alright, this child's destined to get an aneurysm.
My parents.
What? My parents, they're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own? Right, my dad brings me to Sunset Bird too when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time. A chore. My parents' family is nearby and we just had to come see them. Ugh. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? I guess. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves since they cared so much and left me home, but I'm not allowed to be by myself. Pfft. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. You kept quiet. You shouldn't talk to your parents like that. Sorry, it must suck for being forced to do something you don't want. We just said hello. You don't have to keep complaining to us. Calm down. You don't have to yell so much. Who peed in your cereal this morning? Jeremy's lip curled as his face contorted from anger to horror.
Disgusting.
Why would you think of something like that? It's disgusting.
Sheesh.
It's just an expression. He took a deep breath. You thought for one hopeful second that maybe he was calming himself down. He was not. So what? You're putting it in people's heads? I don't want to have to think about it. And someone brainless might decide it's a good idea and actually do it. There are some real stupids out in the world, you know. You're all living proof of that. Hey, we're not stupid. I'm smarter than you. Shut up. Stop it. I'll say, I'm smarter than you are. Stop. You would hate this. Stop it. I'm smarter than you are. How are you going to prove that when you're just saying one moronic thing after another? I don't even have to try with this kid to prove how much more intelligent, or at least how much more sophisticated I am. You turned to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had a good hearing though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed. Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both. Come on. What? No, Cove's wavy eyebrows are so cool. How can you say that when you've got a bowl cut? Don't listen to him. They're really unique and special. Well, they are kind of silly. Apologize to Cove right now. You can't treat people like that. He's not going to listen to that. How can you say that when you've got a bowl cut? Yep, it's embarrassing and awful, but my parents made me. I won't have to have it when I'm older. I don't know what he's going to do with those things except maybe shave them off. He probably should. I bet he'd look less dumb with no eyebrows. You just rolled your eyes. You crossed your arms over your chest. You shook your head. You patted Cove on the shoulder. You lunged towards Jeremy. You grinned. I so want to do this, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm not going to stoop down to his level, because then, you know, I have to prove that I'm at least a little bit more intelligent than he is. I'm not taking the bait. You grinned at all of this. You lunged towards Jeremy. I would like talk about his bowl cut. You know, I took the bait a little bit just because I wanted to be amused, but I'm not sacrificing like my self-respect of being the first to be physical with someone, because that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. You grinned at all of this. You lunged towards Jeremy. You patted Cove on the shoulder. You shook your head. You crossed your arms. You just rolled your eyes. His behavior was unbelievably childish. You bet this is what Elizabeth imagines she's dealing with whenever you do anything. But with Jeremy, he really is like a kid. Wow, what is wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice. What is wrong with you? Wow, the level of intelligence this child has. This is dumb. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and skulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over until he became a speck in their vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer, and we're just going to avoid him as much as possible. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
Sucks.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point, right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You'd completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. It's not really that much of a drama, because I really could care less about the Jeremy kid. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. I need to save it. Why not? Let's eat. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away. Are you sure? You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruits. Cove grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. He took a pineapple skewer. You took a grape skewer. You took a strawberry skewer. You took a melon skewer. I'm going for the strawberries. I do love pineapples a lot, but as a middle schooler, I was more into the strawberry. The strawberry was a bright red and beckoning to you. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically. I can see that, finishing within moments. This is amazing. It's not different than any other normal fruit. It's kind of worse. These have been out in the open with their skins off for a while. Sheesh. Hey, you two remember the land before time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all like the leaves that were shaped like stars. Tree stars. Yeah, chomping leaf looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with the pretty trees and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I love that movie. I've never seen it. I didn't like that one. That movie's for kids. Eating leaves looks good. Should I worry about you? Do you think that things taste better when they're shaped like stars? He snickered. Not everything, but it probably helps. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. Hey, we weren't supposed to eat all of it. It did help make you feel better. Eating it all hadn't really made you feel better. Hey, we weren't supposed to eat all of it. Oops. Really? You couldn't stop yourself from sighing at the boys. You just wanted to eat some and have a nice time. Now you're probably going to get in trouble. You could only accept it, though. Cove stood up unannounced, dusting sand off his clothes with one hand. You saw a flash on his scar on the insides of his arm as he did. I'm gonna go. Okay, bye, dude. Later, Cove. You watched as he walked off towards some other place that wasn't here, his gait unhurried. You weren't annoyed or upset by his sudden exit. It was how Cove was, only sticking around as long as he saw fit. Derek let out a deep breath and leaned back on his arms. His head rolled until his gaze met yours. So, are you ready for summer break? I am if you're hanging out with us, Derek. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Are you? How's someone supposed to be ready for break? Are you? Well, it feels like there's a lot to plan for. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Hey, hark! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought for us. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? You're late. It's all gone. What do you mean, gone? You moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hands, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Realistically, I would have told them to stop. We would each have one and be done with it. I would not have let them eat the whole thing. Her mouth dropped open and the tone of her voice rose. Seriously, Hark? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. Sorry, Elizabeth. Get over it. Well, the morning's been kind of a disaster. We were hungry? It wasn't us. A seagull came down and ate it all. Well, the morning's been kind of a disaster. I'm just gonna say sorry. Sorry, Elizabeth. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all placated. Oh no, I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around. What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. You ran. You stayed. I'm gonna run. Bye! Without a word, you got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
Immature.
They're so immature. I'm going after Derek if I can. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Yay, we're with Derek! Meanwhile, you made it back to the shoreline with Derek. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day! Exactly, but we should keep moving. Yeah, for now at least. Victory! My moms are gonna be so mad when Elizabeth tells the story. Victory! You threw your arms up in celebration. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you're out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. After that, Derek had rejoined you in the living room. He elected to stay outside for extra time so that you could face the potential scolding from your family without him, witnessing the embarrassment. Derek was a guy you could count on. I love you, Derek. The dust had settled from the prior events and your moms went back to the room, so Derek was just taking it easy until his dad arrived. Mr. Suarez was meant to be there any minute to get Derek. Derek preferred not to sit and instead took long, lazy strides in a circle around the edge of the rug. Hands behind his back and head angled towards the ceiling, Derek looked like he might have been puzzling out a crime. He probably made a half a dozen rounds when a solid knock struck your front door. That stopped Derek in his tracks. Dad's here. The both of you stepped towards the door in unison. You arrived first, since you'd had a half-room head start. When you'd pulled it open only a crack, someone zoomed in past you. Oh, new characters! This is new. I don't think this happened last time. The breakneck flash of a human was still entirely recognizable. It was Derek's little brother, Nicholas Suarez. He shouted triumphantly. Derek, we're here! I love how he has barrettes. Barrettes or hair ties? Barrettes or hair ties in his hair. He was only 6, the tiniest kid around. Hot on his heels came the middle son, George. Nicholas, we have to stay in the car. We're going home. We're not here to play. He was 10 and his patience was being tested. The youngest one frantically shook his head. It made his hair even messier than it already was. I'm so excited to meet all the Derek's family. Nicholas's hair was as wild and free as he was. Hair clips in his parents' minivan couldn't contain the energy. Which might have been surprising considering he loved cars enough to wear a shirt covered in them. But you knew Nicholas loved Derek even more. Staying right there where he was, inside your house, at his even older brother's side, Nicholas gave Derek a hug. I came to get you. Derek bent down to scoop Nicholas into his arms in a fond squeeze, though he kept his face tilted up to make eye contact with George. Hey, bros. Side by side, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez trailed in. Aww. The resemblance between the parents and their children was clear. Derek and George were the spitting image of their father. George was even sometimes called Junior, while Nicholas was a mommy's boy. Good evening, Hark. Hello, you'll have to forgive the three-ring circus visiting town. The boys just had to come. Hi, don't worry about that, you're welcome here. You didn't know what to say to them. I love seeing the boys. You merely shrugged. I'll say I love seeing the boys. While Nicholas continued to cuddle with his favorite person, what you said got enough of his attention for a sweet smile to be sent your way. You're a sweetheart. But we can't stay. Thank you for letting Derek visit and tell your mothers I said hello. Okay. Come on, boys, all 4 of you now. Let's all give the Angel family their house back.
Yes, Mom.
Coming. Yes, Mom. Half of the group trotted forward with only a word. They went past Mrs. Suarez and out the door. She watched them go before surveying the situation with the most troublesome one. Nicholas was just bouncing around Derek as if he hadn't even heard his parent. Derek and his mom looked on with identical expressions of exhaustion, tinged affection. When an opportunity opened up between hops, Derek carefully took hold of Nicholas's small hand. Let's get to the car, Nico. You can sit next to me. Thrilled by the promise, Nicholas let out another cheer. Yeah, let's get to the car. Mrs. Suarez left it there, trusting her eldest, and went to join Mr. Suarez and George. Nicholas gripped Derek's black wristband with his free hand, stretching it outward in his eager attempt to lead his bigger brother along. Derek stumbled forward with a chuckle, mostly to protect his band from being pulled too far, rather than Nicholas actually having the strength to move him. But he made sure not to forget you. Derek said his goodbye from over his shoulder. Bye, guy. Mwah! Bye, cutie pie. Bye. Good night. Good night, everybody. You waved the group off. You stood there watching them go. I'll say goodbye, everybody. After their prompt entrance and equally quick exit, the whole Suarez family was on their way home. That was neat. That was a really nice introduction to Derek and his family. You, however, didn't have anywhere to go. It was late enough that the rest of the day would be spent inside your own house. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they'd moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's going to want to come over a lot. The two of you are the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Lizzie, Elizabeth too, but now that your sister has become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. Being family helped make you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. Being family helped you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. Even though you weren't a girl, you befriended them pretty well. You also had a lot of non-girlfriends. You didn't have many non-girlfriends. No, you also had a lot of non-girlfriends. What kind of gender someone was didn't seem to make any difference in who you got along with. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Lee, finally. Who is it? Angel Residence, Hark speaking. Hello? Lee, finally. Hi. Sorry about the wait, Hark. It took forever to get the phone away from my mom. That's okay. There was static on the end as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we got to hang out wherever we want, whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out... Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room. Oh yeah. You got it from your seat at the counter. Luckily the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Oh, how cute. This is before cell phones. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which is why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. Your mom's could be really unfair. You thought that made sense. You didn't like it, but it had to be that way. That made sense. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You jogged up the stairs, taking 2 at a time, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. Alright, I'm here. Cool. Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right, I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they changed their mind. We could call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? Really great. But wouldn't I still be using a home phone? Too bad that's so far away. Really great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. I didn't get my cell phone until... Well, no, that's not true. I had one... I started carrying cell phones in high school, I think, for emergencies. I don't think I had one in middle school. I don't think cell phones were really a thing in middle school for me. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over, and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to a college. Can we talk about boys, Lee? Can we talk about how Derek came over? School was such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easy to you, though you had tried. You worked about as hard as most people, got pretty average results. Everything in your class came. You didn't bother. You worked hard for your excellent grades. Yeah. In high school, I definitely worked hard. Your grades reflected that. Everything in your class came easy to you. You worked hard for your excellent grades. Although, I did have to work hard. That's not true. In middle school, I didn't have to work hard. Later in high school, I had to work harder. And then in college, I definitely had to work hard. Everything in your classes came easily to you. You soaked up information as naturally as a sponge absorbed water. You had yet to worry about school being hard for you. You felt a lot of pressure to maintain the high grades you had. You hoped to do it just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped some. You were confident your grades would remain great. You had no plans on getting excellent scores this time around. You were confident your grades would remain great. You could definitely keep the streak going. Yeah, you tried to sound engaged, but your mind... This is all, again, middle school. This is 100% how it was for me in middle school. Middle school for me, I pretty much soaked it up like a sponge. And I test well. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you all too well to be fooled. You sound so spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to going back. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. It's so awful. I hate going. Come on, it's too scary not to think about it. Let's make a petition. I'm looking forward to going back. You're speaking English, but I understand those words. You laughed, aware that many kids wouldn't voice their enjoyment of school. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Learning new things can be cool. Gym is pretty great, though. My least favorite subject. It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. The cafeteria lunches at my school could be better than they had any right to be. There's nothing good about my school. Learning new things can be cool. It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. If I didn't get to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. Learning new things can be cool. I would just wish everyone did okay with how they taught the things, not just some people. Me too. Gym is pretty great, though. The cafeteria lunch at my school could be better than it had any right to be. Lucky, mine's boring. But that was all. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.